The Shooting Range. In this episode, pages of history, the German Wonder Tractor, map guide, how to win on the Rhine, and metal beasts, the closest comrade of the legendary Il-2. In this episode, we decided to check on the medium-tier vehicles for a change. So let us tell you about the premium Soviet attack aircraft, the Su-6. The Soviet Tech tree has two-seat modifications as well, but we'll focus on one of the earliest ones with a BR of 4.3. This aircraft's maiden flight took place back in 1941. And the prototype showed excellent performance. But then the engineers faced a deficit of the M71 engines, so they had to change the design. This aircraft is propelled by an 18-cylinder radial engine installed in the front. The self-sealing fuel tanks are situated under the pilot's seat. This attack aircraft is well protected with a 65mm thick bulletproof glass and various steel plates. The armament does not disappoint either. There are 4 Sch-Kass machine guns and fearsome 23mm cannons, same as on the legendary Il-2. On top of those, the Su-6 also has a good choice of suspended armament, including bombs and rockets. Of course, its mass makes it slower and less dynamic than most fighters, but it's still quite maneuverable for its class, thanks to its great high-lift devices. Be careful, however. It's a heavy attack aircraft, and if it loses speed, it loses any chance of survival. It's much more efficient to attack your enemy in boom and zoom, or even from the front, since your thick armor and big guns give you an advantage. The Su-6 shows its best performance in mixed battles, much like other attack aircraft. Once you spawn, take a look around and check to see if your enemy has any airborne aviation too. Try to meet enemy fighters in a frontal attack. If they start chasing you, you have no chance of getting away and no rear turret to defend yourself. In this case, maneuvering is your only way out. And when your team achieves air superiority, start attacking enemy ground forces with a preference for tanks on strategic points and approaches. We recommend choosing 10 132mm armor-piercing rockets for suspended armament. They can destroy medium and even heavy tanks on a direct hit. And your API shells that can pierce up to 37mm of armor will be enough to destroy light tanks or anti-aircraft vehicles. Neubaufahrzeug, also known as the Neubau Panzerkampfwagen IV, is also known as Großtraktor Nachbau. Everything is weird about this tank. Its name, its multiple turrets, its 2 guns, even the transmission is in the back. Why did they make it? Why didn't it become mass-produced? It's hard to make a guess, since the Neubaufahrzeug is too different from the early German tanks we're used to. Small wonder there are so many myths about it. Some said it was an experimental heavy assault tank. Others said it was supposed to become the Panzer V or the Panzer VI. Unfortunately, the truth is rather disappointing. The Neubaufahrzeug was a failed medium tank concept. However, its story is interesting enough to tell you about it. After World War I, Germany was banned from many activities, including designing new tanks. So any development they had was top secret. The tanks were often called tractors, or agricultural trucks, to make it less suspicious. So the army ordered the development of two models: a light tractor with a 37mm gun, the future Panzer III, which was supposed to become a mass-produced main tank capable of destroying enemy armor, and the Großtraktor, the big tractor, with a 75mm gun for fire support. 3 companies were asked to design the Großtraktor: Daimler-Benz, Krupp, and Rheinmetall. And despite the fact that all 3 prototypes failed the tests, Rheinmetall provided the best of the worst. So they ended up fulfilling the order for a new tank with a 75mm gun, hence the name Neubaufahrzeug, or the new construction vehicle. For what it's worth, the engineers completed the task successfully. The tank turned out to be much more reliable and almost ready for mass production. But the military seriously expected a multiple turret machine with powerful weapons and, check this out, a weight of under 18 tons at most. It was impossible, of course. Even with an armor thickness between 13 and 20 millimeters, this tractor weighed about 23 tons, which was simply unacceptable. You see, Blitzkrieg idea implied rapid tank employment, which involved crossing rivers, but the standard German bridge layer could only support up to 18 tons. They could do nothing but make the machine even lighter. They scratched the multiple turret design, leaving it with a single 75mm gun, and moved the transmission forward, which made the hull a little shorter. The new task resulted in Krupp creating a much better Panzerkampfwagen IV. As for the early prototypes, the savvy Germans found a use for them. First, they were used for training purposes, and in 1940, they even took part in invading Norway. The only impressive thing about the Neubaufahrzeug was its fearsome looks. But the Germans found a way to use even that in propaganda. They had created an image of a mighty heavy tank supposedly mass-produced in Germany. And, well, it even worked for a while. In the previous episode, we promised you to discuss possible tactics on the Advance to the Rhine map. So here we go. Let's start with the northern team. Their first position is found in square E2, around the corner of the destroyed house. This place will give you control over the street that leads to point A. If you occupy this position first, you'll get a few easy frags at least, or even completely prevent the enemy from getting to the point. Stay there to control grid lines 2 and 3. There's a trick here. The walls of this ruin have holes big enough to shoot through, so you can control the approaches to your position and even surprise your enemy with a close encounter of the round kind, while enjoying the comfy cover provided by the same walls. Our next position is point A itself. Use some smokes before you enter the capture area to avoid getting shot. A bit later, you'll see why. Once you get to the point, you have 2 options. Option 1, stay on your side under the monument and only peek out from time to time to snipe a careless enemy. Option 2, climb the pedestal to get a chance to fire at the enemy home point and both streets leading to point A. No option is perfect because the choice depends on the situation. Option 2 is better for an aggressive onslaught, while option 1 is preferable if the enemy has an advantage in numbers. Let's see what's going on in the center of the map, squares E6 and F6. If you choose the eastern respawn point, you can try to catch enemy tanks rushing Point A. With their sides open, it won't take you many shots to send them back to the hangar screen. Next, you can move closer to the center of square F6 and destroy those who did manage to get to the point. The last useful position for the northern team is their home point B. You can capture it while in cover and then go to either the street on grid line 10 or the park's edge. Now for the southern team. One of the major positions is found in square F3. Stop next to the house and check the opening between the buildings. Tanks going for point A will become open in mere seconds. If the enemy doesn't use smokes, as we recommended earlier, one round to the side should be enough. Once you intercept the enemy, you can try to recapture the position found in E2 or move closer to the monument to defend point A. Your next path lies towards the central area. You can reach it in two ways, and the first one is the shortest path from the western respawn point. Don't forget to destroy the trams with your machine gun to prevent the enemy from shooting through them. The second way is to go along the north-south street that starts next to the eastern respawn point. Even close to your spawn point, it's worth being extra careful. If the enemy hasn't occupied the center of the map, you can go full speed, but if they control the approach, keep closer to the very edge of the capture area. Squares E6 and F6 are key areas as well. Your main mission here is to limit enemy actions, distract them from point A, and help your team occupy the monument area. After that, you can move to the enemy's side of the map to attack them in the park and around point B. Finally, the last position we'll discuss today is the home point, C. After you capture it, you can move to grid line 10 to cover the flank or stay in the corner of the park. If your tank has good elevation angles, you can safely shoot at the enemy home point from here. That's it for tactics we wanted to share with you today. Time to brush off the ash and soot and answer some of your questions. The first question was sent by a player called XX Ghostcrafter 5622. What's the best tactic for the T-35 multi-turret tank? Hi there. Compared to other tanks with BR 1.3, the T-35 is a real land ship. That monster will demoralize the enemy, so send it towards one of the main approaches. Ignore enemy fire, cover your allies with your thick armor, and push through enemy lines. Yuri Bernate asks, why do most or some American and British planes have stripes on their wings? Hi Yuri. These insignia are called invasion stripes. They became widespread during D-Day. Their purpose is pretty simple. Make it easy to spot Allied planes. There were hundreds of planes in the air, all from different countries, so friendly fire was very much possible. Another question from some guy. What do you guys think is the best German ground attacker for their BR? Hi there. Many German attack aircraft and strike fighters too have the 30mm Mk103 cannons, as well as powerful bombs. Which one is the best? It depends on your playstyle. We can recommend a machine that we ourselves like taking into battle. The Dornier 335B2. It has 5 cannons and a whole ton of bombs. Will writes, ever since I got a proper PC, I've been in love with graphics. Speaking of, when can we expect another large graphics update? Hello, Will. This new update, called New Power, will become available to you very soon. Thanks to the new Dagger 6.0 engine, the graphics will look much better and more realistic than before. Don't miss it. And the last comment for today was written by Alpha Wolf 5965. Should I get the B-29 or the Leopard 2A5? Either. That's an unexpected comparison, but let's try. The Leopard has just one engine, while the B-29 has 4. 1 cannon and 2 machine guns on the Leopard against 12 machine guns on the B-29. 4 crew members in the German machine against 7 in the American. Looks like the B-29 wins. Once more, that's it for today, you guys. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click that bell if you don't want to miss our next videos, and you really don't want to miss them. Don't forget to leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, brace yourselves for the update, and see you next week.